word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Coming to you from the studio, located in the Genesis stars on planet Earth. The Transmutation Transmutation try the best, try honest.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a lift-off.
To the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me today. This is going to be another installment of Mastering the Matrix. This is this new series that I've started where I just really want to talk about spiritual principles and how we can apply it to our everyday lives. You guys, please make sure to check out the show I did with at Real7 Show on Instagram. I posted the Spotify link as well. I posted the link to the YouTube video here on the channel. I did an amazing collab covering Gnosticism. You guys make sure to check that out. Also, we did a live show last night called Are You Entertained? You can also peep that as well. Make sure to check out our tarot and our astrology videos. And follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. We're on BitChute, Rumble, everywhere. And if you'd like to book your own personal reading or reach out, it's The Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com, or you can text 513-393-2396. Man, today, I got to thinking, honestly, about all of the problems that I have had in life, right? And all the reasons for these problems. And it kind of took me back, and I was listening to a podcast, actually, and it was like a really weird religious podcast that was highly Christian. And they were talking about worshiping false idols, and this new kind of understanding of everything just hit me like a ton of bricks. It's, we take everything so literal, right? And you'll see so many people actually talk about this, and they'll say, hey, worshiping false idols is, worshiping deities or gods or, all of this, things outside of yourself. But when we take it apart and we look at the meaning of the actual words that we're being told here, right? False and idol, right? False is something that is fictitious. It's an illusion. And think about way back in the book of Genesis when we were created in the image of the Elohim, right? So this illusion, this falseness, and this idol, which is a phantom, a projection, an illusion, which is also an image. So it's saying don't worship the false self. Don't worship the false self. Every time that, and I feel like so many different schools of thought, especially when it comes to esoteric understanding, any type of spiritualism, it gets perverted, right? What's the saying? To the base, all things are base, and to the pure, all things are pure. Okay? Now we can find ourselves in this position to where, and we can do it in a number of ways, where most people that are unaware of the fact that they're worshiping the false self or the false idol, they walk around each and every day living a selfish, self-centered existence where the world revolves around them, right? It's all about pleasing their impulses, satisfying their pleasures, right? Their thirst, whatever they want in life, they're willing to do, say, and step on anyone to achieve or attain these things. We see this come out in the forms of lust and greed, right? People are willing to be deceptive. People are willing to bring physical harm onto others to achieve or to attain something to feed that deity that is the self, to feed that lower carnal physical self. But we can also do it in another way, and I feel like a lot of people in the spiritual community don't understand that when they come into illumination and they begin to actually get enlightened, and we understand that we are a piece of God, right? We're all a fragment, we're all a fractal, we're all a piece of the Creator. We can start to actually see ourselves as that creator, bring the attention upon ourselves, and see the creation as something that serves us, right? We can even do it in a spiritual way. A lot of people talk about how they manifest their own reality, right? We talk about the primary law is frequency, the secondary law is attraction. So then you have this group of people that's on the left-hand path, right, into the occult, that spend the rest of their lives trying to understand how things work so they can make everything work for them as well. Do you see any difference? Right? And the person that's unaware, believing that the world is built to cater to them blindly, or the person that is aware and is using their understanding of everything to manipulate the world to make it work for them. Right? This, in essence, is worshiping the false idol, the false self. Seeing that the only thing in front of us is the physical reality, is our five senses, is the things that we desire in our lives, the things that we want to attain in our lives, not understanding that all of this is a manifestation or a reflection of the spirit above. As above, so below. So often we stay focused in our lives on the below, like for so much of the time, that's all we begin to see, right? That's where we get the perverse versions of different spirituality, where people are trying to bind things on the earth so they can bind things in heaven. In essence, that's hexing someone, right? You're double-crossing someone. You're attaching them or using something spiritually to restrict them down here. That way it'll restrict them in the heavens above as well. We look at the elite and those who practice Satanism and all of that, right? In essence, that's what they're doing, But we can also do that to ourselves, through the power of our thoughts, through the power of our words, our actions, our emotions. So, instead of worshiping spirit, which is, what we call God or the all, which worship means to simply just, have respect or reverence for something, right? An understanding of how it all works together. An understanding of what animates everything. And having a respect for that. Knowing the connectedness of everyone and of everything. Now, and this is having an understanding of what actually makes manifest everything in our reality as well, right? It all comes from one source, and that is what we call God. That is what we call spirit. And that is ultimately what has the final say in our reality, in our lives. That's where we return to when our journey is over. If you say that, some people believe that our souls are recycled and that we live multiple lifetimes, however you believe it, that is where we return. That is where it all begins, right, in essence. And that's where it will all end as well. That also has the final say. We see the symbolism and symbols in our society, in our culture, are used to attract specific frequencies. Everybody's seeing the all-seeing eye, right? The all-seeing eye. People throwing up the sixes or, horns, right? Because they're trying to attract a frequency. So these are the people that understand that a symbol is just an energetic pattern, right? And each energetic pattern has its own archetype to it, its own representation to it, its own face, if you will, its own quality, its own characteristics, right? You see people with the Baphomet and Baal and Lucifer, and it's about money. It's about currency, right? Because this particular frequency or this particular image is one, and you look at the Baphomet, right, and it's balanced. It's got the masculine and feminine, the black and the white, right, the carnal and the heavenly, the as above, so below, right, the fives and the sixes. It's got all of it, right? And that's what the image is actually trying to say to you. And that's where, you see Luciferians and so many people misrepresent what's trying to be explained through the mysteries, or misinterpret, what's being shown. They believe that they've got to join some fucking weird death cult or some shit like that just to become enlightened. They believe that, because, this is because we've been conditioned and we've been told that this is the way that it works, right? We've been told that this is the way that works. That only a select few, only those who are elite, only the very rich or the very famous or the very successful or those who are willing to make a sacrifice are able to obtain this spiritual enlightenment, this status, this godhood here on the earth, right? To where they whisper in everyone's ears and they make all the commands and they pull all the strings. That's how you become a puppet master, right? That's how you satiate everything that you want inside, is by being part of this little teeny tiny few. And it demands a sacrifice. You have to sell your soul. You have to sacrifice someone or something else that you love. I mean, there's a million different rituals and a million different ways to get there. And a million different beliefs on what it actually takes to get there. But like I said, most often, to the base, all things are base, and to the pure, all things are pure. It's a misinterpretation of what's actually being shown. It's a sacrifice of oneself, as in the lower self, the idol, the false idol self, right? Sacrificing of our impulses, a sacrificing of our desires for the greater good of ourselves, for the greater good of the whole, right? Saying we don't have to be served in every way to be happy. To understand that everything's already working for us anyways, and that we're only blessed with things in our life to give purpose and to serve everything else, right? We look at how, even in Gnostic teachings, biblical teachings, it talks about in the very beginning there was a separation, right, of the waters above the firmament and the waters below, right? The waters above the firmament and the waters below. It's talking about the above and the below nature, right? We are made up of, 80% water? Planet Earth made up of another 80% water, right? We are those waters that were separated, on one level in the above, in the heavens, where the governing bodies, the deities, the demigods, the rulers, the archons are operating. That's one side of our nature, right? That's actually giving manifest. It's a spirit giving manifest to things. And on the other side of the nature, the other side of the spectrum, you got the consumer and producer. You got one producing, and down here we're consuming. Right? We're receiving that energy. We're receiving those downloads, that information, those photons, that frequency, right? In the form of currents, right? Currents of electricity, currents of water, currency, right? And that's what gives value. It is energy being transferred to and fro, right? Energy being manipulated, energy being stored, energy being given. And that's why you always see things go back to gold, right? God and gold. Someone said there's some buffering going on. I think that could just be your connection. I don't see anything that says that we got a shitty connection here. So, he's back. I am back. I told you guys, when I was I was doing the show with 7 on the eclipse. You know, I was doing the show with 7 on the eclipse, and it was so fucking weird. I shit you not, it's just like we were talking about Gnosticism, and we were, you know, getting into all of this deep, deep stuff. I really advise you guys to check that out if you haven't yet. And it's like I felt like I was myself for the first time in a very long time, you know. It's like you get away from certain things, and it's like and it's about what you tune into, right? I myself, and this is how I know this shit is true. I just want to tell you this. I'm not just saying this to rattle off shit and sound smart. This is how I know it's fucking true. Because I, my friend, am a fuck up. You know, I like to test the boundaries, and I like anarchy, and I like chaos, and I like excitement and drama. So I make my fucking life interesting, okay? By making plenty of mistakes, okay? And, you know, there was there for a while where I got to where things were just about me, right? I had come to the belief, I had learned all this stuff, and everything pointed to I am God. I am the Son of God. I am Christ. Well, it's like all people do in immaturity, when they get power or responsibility and they're not ready for it, right? It destroys them. It consumes them. And this is what I feel like happens to so many people on the spiritual path. Right? When they first come to that realization, like, holy shit, I can control my reality through my thoughts, through my emotions, through my words, right? I can project images, I can project sounds, I can attract things to me, I can create things, I can fucking control, manipulate, and destroy things. Whew. That's some powerful shit. Right? It's some powerful shit. That's some powerful understandings. And it all revolves around me. My senses are creating the entirety of this reality that I see, witness, and live in. I am the king of my realm. Right? And as the king, you have to grow. Right? You have to learn how to rule properly over all that you've been gifted. And you have been gifted. You've inherited it freely, right? From the Spirit. There was nothing you did to earn all of this. Right? You were blessed with the experience that is life. And as a result, you know, understanding that you have that inheritance, right? That Christhood, right? That anointing. It has to become this humbling experience, right? Where you see that when you serve your impulses, despite what it does to other people, that it creates destruction. It makes waves. It distorts things. It distorts your field and what you're bringing in. You know? It connects you to nasty entities and nasty energies that maybe you don't want to be connected to. Simply because, you know, you're thinking in a selfish way, or you're thinking in a hateful way, or you're thinking in a negative way. Sending out that signal. You know? Then you're allowing your emotions to rule you. You have a lack of clarity, right? So you're acting in ways that inflict on others, which only magnifies the negativity that comes back to you, right? There is a such thing as karma, and we get what the fuck we put out. We reap what the fuck we sow. And if you don't like me saying fuck, fuck you. It's just the way it is. You know? It's the way it is. And we can sow some pretty nasty shit unknowingly. I feel like that's why, for lack of knowledge, surely my people will perish. I don't think it's talking about a physical death at all. I think it's talking about a spiritual death. For lack of knowledge, you know, you're going to condemn yourself a billion different fucking ways. You're going to have this false belief that it all revolves around you. That everyone and everything that you've been giving is to feed you, for you to consume. Becoming a parasite, becoming a serpent, devouring itself. Right? An archon, a demon, having attachments, being attached to certain things, whether it's drugs, sex, alcohol, people, toxic relationships. Fucking shitty jobs, unhappiness, misery, negative self-talk, negative self-image. And every time we have these negative attachments, we build altars to them because we are divided from ourself, from the unity that is self, the all, the wholeness. We get divided from that. And these altars are created, and we praise. We worship at these altars. You know? And that's why you see on the collective scope, the collective level of the collective third eye, which is planet Earth, by the way. You see the synagogues and churches, right? The altars we built collectively. It's because we're doing it individually. You know. And one thing that's been blowing me away lately, and I've got a completely different understanding of what the Illuminati and all that actually means, as I did years ago when I started all this. Just saying. There is a false group, you know, and it comes in the form of cults and all the weird satanic shit you hear about. That's the false side. That's the base version of the mysteries, right? The ones where we're not here to serve, where it's not about belief in good and faith, right? The pure things. But it's about desires and impulses and, you know, sacrifice and suffering and all of that. That's part of that negative paradigm, you know. And there are the few that understand that, and they use it to completely feed off of others, completely drain the world of everything they can, and by means of control and enslavement, they operate, right? And it's just a pyramid scheme, right? You ever heard the term pyramid scheme? Pyramid scheme, right? It's where I bring you in and I rule over you. You bring me in, you rule over me. I pass knowledge, knowledge, and knowledge, and knowledge, and knowledge. Right? This chain of command is created. And the masses are on the bottom. And the few who are willing to go to the depths of darkness are on top. Right? And then there's just another version of that I believe is the actual version. And it would probably be like the gurus and teachers and fucking masters of all time, right? Like Hermes and Buddha and Jesus and, you know, maybe you. Who knows? You could be watching this and you could be one of those people. I think you would be. What we would call the true elect, right? The remnant, you know, Israel, right? And there are those people that vibrate at such a high frequency, right? And they live such a selfless existence, right? To bring the light in and bring awareness, right? That, and they have such a deep understanding of how it all works that they know that all of the darkness is necessary to push us to our limit, to our breaking point, to initiate us, right? Into the true gnosis or true knowledge or understanding of the false self, right? And what we're, you know, God, who God truly is, be in true connection with God, the Creator, the All, you know. And they know that evil, darkness, and the people that work in the shadows and all of that, right, are necessary, right? Because whatever is forced on us, we will resist, right? We'll be repelled from it. It'll be polar opposite to what we want, our desires, right? Which are our emotions, our energy and motion, and our thoughts, right? Our thoughts create it, send out the frequency of what we don't want. So what we don't want, we get. That way we go in the direction of what we do. Okay? Understand? So humanity getting pounded by these people constantly through world wars, through hunger, through starvation, through sacrifice, through all of this. These base people with this base knowledge, right, that are doing this, what they're actually doing is the opposite of what they think they're doing. They think they're implementing a surveillance state, a system of control, but what it's actually going to do is push us in total and polar opposite direction of all of that as a species, right? By natural laws of energy, by natural laws of how it works, dynamics, right? It's a pole. That's why the serpent or the Vesica Pisces, or the infinity symbol, or the Kundalini, right? It's up and down, up and down. It's just natural flow, right, of energy. And I mean, they understand it in Hermetics and shit like that. And people that are able to, practice transmutation, they understand it. But not all people get, that it's actually that shit. The enslavement that makes us crave freedom. Isn't that weird? The war that makes us desire peace. The separation and the loneliness that makes us yearn for love. I mean, it's only the real few, the real elect, who come to that understanding within themselves and are able to connect to that. And they truly do. They become, messiahs, saviors of themselves. Right? By dying to that lower, impulsive, dark side of themselves. That selfish fucking side of themselves. They're able to ascend, to enlighten, right? Be full of light. To be illuminated. Light shining on everything, an understanding of it all, how it all works. And they're able to produce. Yeah, natural dynamics is going to state that the negativity is going to continuously try to feed off of that. But why is that? Because it's coming from an infinite source. It's coming from an infinite source. The parasites are part of the system. The yin and yang. It's necessary. Without it, we don't have this reality. Without it, we don't have this world. And you can't tell me it's not true or it's not happening. And I'm going to prove that to you throughout this series. We're going to talk about it all. And I'm going to show people how it actually works and why it actually works. And I don't feel like I have it all figured out or even close. And so we'll learn together and we'll grow together. But I have made enough mistakes to see what does work and what doesn't, and why, and in hindsight being 2020, right? It gives you the wisdom of why the mistakes were made, or the cause and the effect of these things, And we can have clarity on our mental state, our emotional state, how we got to where we got, And this kind of allows us more control over, how we're going to get to where we're going, which is fucking important. It's fucking important. And the bigger the frequency grows, the more of us that, catch on to this shit and find value in it. And that's the key right there. Honestly, the key is ascribing value to it. It's like once you find this knowledge, this information, there's something in you. I don't know. It's weird. But there's something inside of you that's like, yo, this is the most fucking valuable thing I have ever heard or ever known. This will absolutely and totally change my fucking life. This could change the world. This could change everyone's lives. If we just approached it with clarity and patience and virtue, right? When we do. And that's a hard thing to do. The self gets in the way all the time. Myself gets in the way all the fucking time. Right? But that's why it's not about one person individually, but about the whole. And if you can keep those that filter on when you watch something like this, right? Is that it's not about the person presenting it, right? It's about the concept in itself, the understanding. The person is always flawed, you know. That's part of it. That's just my pattern, my frequency, the symbol of me, right? The energetic representation of who I am on the lower level. And I have to work out those distortions within my field, within myself, to become more like the original pattern, right? The original frequency. And we're all working that process. And this is the process, right? The up and down of the Kundalini, the dragon, the serpent, right? The fall of Lucifer and the rise and resurrection of Christ. Whatever narrative you want to take, I promise you I can apply it and show you how it fits in identical fashion with everything else. And whatever, and we're gonna visit too. I want to try to just, I want to give such an in-depth on what I know, and because I've never seen nobody really put it all together in a way that you can actually understand, and then tie everything together too, and show you how it all, if you know one thing, you know it all, right? Because it is that original pattern, reflecting on everything, and it's just geometry, honestly, angles, right? That keeps us in the fractal world down here, right? And these angles have degrees and variations of the way that original pattern bends and appears. And each variation is a different archetype, represented by a different symbol, a different frequency. And we can embody all of them. We were given dominion over all the earth, right? Think about that. If we are a collective being, and we have dominion over everything, if we tap into the original frequency, right? The pre-existing, the ineffable, the inexpressible, right? The Son of God. If we can tap into that, then everything that falls underneath that, which is everything, is at our disposal. It's at our disposal. It's working in congruency for us. You're just trying to break it work, so you're glad you caught this. I'm glad you caught it too. One of the things that is so important for me too, and it's like, and I'm telling you what's wild about it, it's like, people, it sounds really weird and cliche, but it's not just, I hate, and I feel like I've been guilty of it. And maybe that's why I've had to take a step back for, a while from all this stuff and really just kind of work on me, and I'm still working on me. Because it's not a fad, it's not a trend, it's more. It's a way of life, and it's a lifestyle, right? And it's a lifestyle choice at the same time, if that makes sense. And that's why if you're not on the path, you don't jive very well with those who are. And if you are on the path, those who aren't are brief pit stops, right? They're pit stops along that path to ultimately get to that refined pattern or frequency that we want for ourselves. And we all have a different idea of that, right? And we see it created, right? The family crest, right? That's a symbol, of a name. Remember, you can invoke a demon through its name, right? That sound is a frequency, a symbol. The word, when you write it down, a frequency, a symbol. Right? Your genetics, that's the code of that frequency and symbol. That is you. When you talk about breaking the cycle, it's breaking the orbit of that pattern. Changing the polarity and the way that the magnetics move within you. Gratitude, forgiveness, acceptance. I mean, those are probably, and I hate to be like super cliche and shit, but it's probably as simple as that. But at the same time, complicated, right? Because we're humans and that's what we do. But yeah, being grateful. And it's not always easy to be grateful. And people can't say that it is. Okay? A lot of times, because the shit that happens in our life that hurts us, or it just sucks when we experience bad, negative things, it's so distorted and out of alignment with who we are and our purpose and the way that we want to feel, that it's like this gaping wound in our field, right? In our aura, in our soul. So all of our attention and our focus goes to this goddamn blemish, this scar, this area, this trauma that's taking place within our life, right? Whether it's a breakup, whether it's a loss of a job, right? This can go a sickness, financial trouble. It's out of harmony with your highest good, you know? And then you can begin to feed all your energy and attention to that. And you can begin to lower yourself to the frequency of that distortion, that pattern. And then guess what? It spreads. It touches other areas of your life. And honestly, that's what drugs and alcohol do. You know? You ingest them and they drag down other areas of your life. You know? That's what toxic behaviors, narcissistic behavior does. You know, and I know that that's probably the number one thing in humanity we're dealing with right now. Social media and all of that. Everybody's their own entity, their own business, right? They're selling themselves in one way, shape, form, or facet, whether it's on OnlyFans or everybody's a goddamn talking head. Everybody's an expert now, right? So... And think about the dating world, right? And dealing with people. Usually the people who are the best put together are usually some of the worst fucking people. And it's wild and it's crazy, but I shit you not. Some of the people who own the most and have the most, you know, externally going on for them, it's because that's what they put all their energy into, is the external. Right, so a lot of them, and not all of them, but a lot of them live a very superficial existence, right? And that's why you see so many people, I think, shifting to like minimalist and stuff like that. It's like more to nurture to the emotional, conscious, spiritual self, because they're like, I feel like they feel out of balance with creation, with nature, with people, you know? And chasing that fast-paced life like that and trying to keep up with the Joneses and do things for appearances, you know, that will change the way that you make decisions, that change the way that you make choices, right? People that, you know, marry for money instead of love. Like, I mean, just there's a million different ways that this manifests, you know. And it creates a culture of that, too. You know, like I said, when a vibration grows, it becomes stronger, amplified. More and more are attracted to it. You know? More and more are attracted to it. Like moths to a flame. And in pursuit of that vibration, of that lifestyle, right? Whether it's fame or fortune or whatever, to be desired. Some people just want to be wanted by other people. Whatever it is, you know, every part of their concept or perception of it that is out of alignment with themselves, so like the distorted parts, the greedy parts, the lustful parts, the egotistical parts, right, all of that, the insensitive, all of that, the narcissistic, right, will be burned out of their ass through the process of life. Right? It may kill them in this lifetime, and they may not get the message or get the point in this lifetime, but I believe they just come right back and pick up where they took off on the last time, right? And start learning those energetic lessons again and again and again until they can ascend to a higher state. And that's happening with all of us. You know, when we're all, in essence, pulling ourselves up in vibration and frequency, we're growing, right, closer to the source, if you will, with each celestial cycle, right? The age of Pisces, it was about water, the spirit, right? And then now the age of Aquarius, it's about consciousness, right? The collective. Do you see? It's like this process of us going through those archetypal patterns or, fingerprints of the gods, if you will. And reality is going to continue to reflect that always. Everything is going to reflect that original pattern, that original fingerprint. And what is a fingerprint? It is your unique identifier, your unique frequency, your unique symbol, your unique pattern, right? That was created by the vibration of when you were around, who you are, your substance, your being. And that depends on the influences of everything else. It didn't just hinge on you. It was on everything working together to create the magical spark that is you, that divine spark, that soul luminescence, that star in the jar. That is you. And that's why each one of us, we're agents of the system when we're lost in the system. We do everything we can to keep others trapped in it with us because that's our perception of the way that it works. And you know what? It's the blind leading the fucking blind. And I hate to say it, I've been the blind leading the blind before. And we all have. We all are. At the end of the day. We all are at the end of the day. But if thine eye be single, then thy whole body be filled with light. So it's understanding how to see, what to connect to. And it's not just one certain school of thought or one certain set of principles. It's everything. It's working it on all levels of life. You can't just work on and one of my problems over the years that I've done is I usually do one of the two. I'll just worry about the physical, satiating my desires and my lust and my nature and all that, right? What I need, what I want, right? And ignore the spiritual, or I worry about the spiritual and I sacrifice the physical and I suffer. It's understanding it takes everything working together within you. Your fucking diet, the way that you eat, your habits, the way that you think, the way that you speak. Being able to maintain clarity, your temper, your emotions. Being able to keep yourself from doing and saying things that you'll regret later or that will bring harm to others or, bring negativity back to you. That is not easy shit. Life throws curveballs at you every fucking day. Every fucking day. And I can promise you that. And it can come in the form of anything. It can be so unexpected sometimes too. And it's like we can be off in our own world sometimes while other things are working behind the scenes, underneath the surface in our lives that are setting us up for hardship, failure, disappointment, or happiness, or beauty, or blessings. It's about being conscious on what is above the surface and what we can see, right? That lets the real magic work underneath. Purification, it is, and it's like nobody, not one is without, blemish, is without fault. Not one of us. It's going to be a constant, consistent process because that's what being alive is. You know, that's what being alive is. That's what's trying to join back to unity is. You know, and until we're truly committed to that and committed to one another, committed to the journey, committed to the growth, committed to evolving, you know, we're going to continuously come up short. And we still might come up short even when we are committed to it, you know. But what gives manifest to everything at the end of the day is love. Is love. And I think if we can just make a conscious decision each and every day to do what we do in love, to act out of love, to speak out of love, to push out those thoughts that aren't consistent with love, love for ourselves, for other people, you know, if we can do that, and even if we gotta fake it till we make it, you know, life can be fucking miserable at times. It's hard at times. And even if we gotta like fake it till we make it, understanding that it's just putting ourselves in that mind state, you know, and getting ourselves in that place, consciously, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, that's going to bring it in. You know, that's going to make it bigger, more powerful, and attract more of it. That's going to fill us up with it. You know. And really the only illusion that it not happening in your life is really an illusion. You know, it's just because that's how you're choosing to see it. Is you're choosing to see limitations in certain areas of your life. You know, you're not choosing to embrace the lessons. You're not choosing to, you know, whatever. It's like not accepting the reality for what it is. And yeah, there are many tools, astrology, tarot, prayer, meditation, you know, whatever. There's a million different ways we can work on that and tap into that and get more in tune with that, you know, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's on us, you know, and what type of life we want, what type of existence we want, what type of world we want to be a part of. So, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me, and we'll be doing, you know, a lot more of these. I'm going to try to do them daily if I can. You know, I just want to just get down into all of this, dude. There's so much I want to talk about. I've got, you know, more collabs on the way. Like I said, please check out Instagram at Real7Show. You can check out my Facebook, Twitter, and all that. I posted the Spotify link. I think I also pinned it in the top of the comment section of the video here on YouTube. Or check out last night's live show. Are you entertained? You know, the Mastering the Matrix series, that's the new thing. And if you'd like to book your own personal tarot reading, you know, reach out, donate, support, you know, help me out. It helps a lot. Anybody who does, thank you so much. Anybody who will, thank you so much. Join us on Patreon, book a reading, whatever. All the information in the description box down below. All the links are in the description box down below. BitChute, Rumble, Facebook, all of it. So, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths,